Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I'm your keeper, Keeper Michael, and we return to Horror on the Orient Express, where we are still within the grotto. And that grotto has many secrets still left to share. But at the top of the show, as we all like to do, we'd like to thank our Patreon supporters and our listeners, both of whom give a ton back to the show. We greatly appreciate all that you do for us. And so I'm going to get started with introductions to my right.
Hi, this is Mike. I'm playing James Robert Fraser. And I am a little bit concerned as to exactly how far away from me my companions are just now.
It's a fair concern. So we are in the missing Lady Elizabeth formation, but trust that Lady Elizabeth will be back very shortly at the end of the table.
Hi, this is Giles, and I'm playing Simon Griffith, and I'm about to unleash holy hell on a bunch of people.
It does seem like that is the plan. So to Mr. Griffith's right.
Hi, this is Miranda, and I play Maggie Bellinger. And with everything that went on at the end of our last game, I'm just happy to hear that Mr. Fraser's here.
That is a fair thing to say. There's a lot of things that have happened at the end of that game, and given what you're seeing in front of you, concern is definitely due. Last but most certainly not least.
I'm Martin, and I'm playing Richard Courtney. And Richard kind of wonders whether Simon wouldn't be better with a sword.
It's quite possible. You yourself have been Sir Galahading around recently, and so we'll have to see if perhaps there's a bladed weapon Richard can find and put into his compatriots' hands. So, at the beginning of this session, because Mr. Fraser was not on camera last session, he is afforded a luck refresh, and so I will ask his player to go ahead and roll some luck.
Alrighty, I will do my level best. Currently, I have got a luck of 54, so kind of 50-50. I have rolled a 17.
Right, so that's a D10 luck for you. Plus 5. Right, so I'm going to give you 13 points of luck.
Ooh, thank you very much indeed.
Use it wisely.
Oh no, where's the fun in that?
Okay, so I want to start with the aforementioned James Robert Fraser, who has very recently been busted out of jail, made his way through a rather exciting escape from Trieste, and now finds himself huddled against some rocks, searching the distance for silhouettes and shapes. It's there before you, laid out in front of you before you really come to grips with what you're seeing. That single silhouette, maybe the 2 or 3 that you'd seen before, you begin to see them blossom. That single person you saw. As they get closer, you see that there are 2 or 3. And then to your left, you see another 2 or 3 as they make their way across this field into the rocky path that leads to the opening of the cave.
Oh, dearie me.
And now I'm going to ask you to make me a hard spot hidden roll.
I will try my best. So, looking for a 43 on this. And I rolled 14.
Oh, fantastic. So, what you spot is something you were not prepared for. Given your position, your eyes are allowed to sort of take in both the far vantage point and the near vantage point as well. So you can see directly down past these tall gates. What you pick out are 4 people moving very close to the cave wall, right up against the doors. Now, the pack of people that you've seen across the field, they're at this point, even at a stern run, they're probably 30 seconds away. These people are suddenly right on top of you. You see shapes move below you. And then all of a sudden, you start hearing the front doors rattle.
Can I see with my, I believe that's an extreme spot hidden, who these people appear to be, how they're dressed, what they're carrying, anything like that?
They appear to be, yeah, absolutely. I'll give it to you as an extreme, happy to, although you might not appreciate it. These men are robed in black, and you can see the hoods that trail behind them. When the door rattles in front of you, having locked it fairly well, something slips into the seam. It pushes and bends its way into the seam of the door.
A blade, perhaps, or something?
Did Fraser have a light up there that he had on? I know you have a torch.
I don't believe I had it switched on in order that I could be better secreted in my position.
You don't hear metal on metal as if something's hitting it. That's a sound you'd be very familiar with. What you hear is metal bend. You hear a groan from the door.
But I can't see what these figures are carrying as they approach. They're just robed and hooded figures.
Yeah, it's because they've moved so fast.
Right, okay.
So they have moved very fast against the facing of that cave where the door is. And with the gates shut, you can hear, because there's some overhead lights. You guys have turned those lights on. Okay. Even though the professor tried to break a bulb and was a little less than successful at it. My question to you is, are you keeping your vision locked on the figures making their way across the field? Where are you putting your eyes, James? That's what I want to know.
I think my priority has now moved. It's a shame Simon isn't still here, because he would be able to deal with one while I deal with the other. What, if anything, can I hear from further down the corridor from what's going on with the others? Are they too far away for me to hear anything wherever it is they've got to? Or?
Yeah, they're a little too far for you to hear at this point.
Okay. I think I'm going to make sure that I am as well concealed as possible. I've got as much cover as possible from my position where I am. I suppose I'm just going to have to shout out, "Stay away from that door. I am armed. Who are you?"
The metal groans in response back. And you hear something dull and heavy thud against the door.
In that case, I am going to fire a round into the ground near them, not to hit them, but to act as a warning. Single shot.
Our investigators from last session will remember the gunfire that they heard at the front of the cave as Fraser fires off a round. The noise from the front of the door seems to lessen a little bit. You hear a lot of footsteps on gravel.
"Make yourselves known. Who are you? What do you want?"
You don't get a response. When you look, you kind of sort of glance back up over the walls a little bit to check the position of the silhouettes against the horizon. You don't see them anymore.
Okay. Did I see movement down below me? Did I see where they might have moved to, if they moved anywhere, that whoever it is that's at the door? And roughly, do I have any idea roughly how many there are at the door?
You think you saw at least 4 robed heads?
Yeah. And are they still there? Are they moved away?
There's still at least 2 there. Metal is still groaning pretty hard.
Well, if they just ignored the fact that I've just fired a shot right at their feet.
Not all of them, but yes, a couple of them seem to be ignoring it. At least one.
"The next time I'll aim to hit, I warn you, stop what you're doing right now. I'll give you to the count of 3 to move away. 1, 2.
Give me a spot hidden roll.
0, 2.
Very good. You smell something acrid in the air.
When you say acrid, chemical acrid, like they're, or acrid like they've lit a fuse acrid?
That's a good question. How would I term that? No, not chemical acrid, and not cordite acrid, or fuse. I should say. I would say. I'll tell you what. I won't give you a roll for it because you'll remember the smell immediately. It smells like the inside of the bear.
Acidic.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think that's sort of what I was meaning by chemical, but they're pouring something into the lock to melt it away.
Could be.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have a good sight on it. You've given your position away with the gunshot and the yelling.
Yeah. But they're just completely ignoring the fact that I'm shooting at them.
They seem to be, yes.
Jeez, oh, right. I am going to try and get myself into a position where I can see them properly, and I am going to shine my torch down at them, and I am going to fire to try and hit one of them in the leg or the arm, a non-lethal wound if I can. I'm going to need torchlight to see this, though, so I'm going to have to give away my position a little bit in order to do that.
Okay, so just to be clear, so we're moving with the right camera here. You're going to stay bodily within the gate itself, or are you going to get up high enough where you can look over the gate and shoot down?
As far as I recall from where I positioned myself last time, I was kind of up towards the top of the gate. Simon was down towards the actual sort of doorway, and I had got myself up a little bit so I could see over the top to see figures in the distance. If I'm not there right now, I'd like to kind of get there. So yeah, I can peer over the top because I know that the kind of the gate wallway doesn't go right up to the top of the mouth of the cave. Peer over the top, shine my torch down and fire off a shot. I'm going to try and hit one of them in the leg or the arm or something like that. Maybe that will give them the message that I'm not messing about here.
Yeah, absolutely. So you shine your torch over and proceed then with the pistol to aim up where the leg is, and you see 2 figures standing very close to the section of this gate where it comes together where the lock is, and the light immediately gets their attention, and you see one figure turn around at the shining of that light, and he was sort of giving cover for this other one who seems to have been doing something at the center of the door. And when the one who's been doing something at the center of the door sees the light shine across its pale and rather scarred face, he turns, and when he does, he lifts his arm out from between the 2 doors, and you can see that there are just this horrendous series of long tentacle appendages that exist at the stub of his elbow, and they're writhing and pushing and crawling all over the steel and trying to bend it open. And you, sir, are going to roll sanity for me.
Great. Okay, I have currently got 43% sanity. And I have just rolled an 85.
And so I will take 3 sanity from you in this regard.
Oh boy. Okie dokie.
You see that this tentacle, or series of tentacles really, have pushed their way into the steel and made an opening. And you are overcome with the idea that a man has... How has he done this? What's happened to him? Oh, that's not right at all. And you can see and hear the popping of those tentacles, these suction cups that they seem to have at the end of them that have grasped onto the metal, and they make this horrid popping sound.
Yeah, I think he stumbles back a little bit, maybe slips slightly on his position on the side of the rock there, and all thoughts of shooting to injure go out of his head, and he shoots right into the central body mass of this creature. This is not a human being. This is something, or if it was, it's not something horrible, something horrific, and it's got to go.
That seems totally fair to me.
So I take it I am not within point blank range of this thing.
No, you're slightly just beyond point blank range. You're probably not far from point blank, maybe half meter or so.
Well, in fact, I think, bearing in mind the situation and the shock he's just had from seeing what he thought was going to be a man maybe pouring a little vial of acid into a lock to see this horror, he's just going to let 3 shots off. Bam, bam, bam.
Okay.
Which will each be with a penalty die. So I have 34% firearms handgun, but I have 72% in firearms rifle shotgun.
Indeed.
So I believe that gives me an additional 10% to my handgun skill.
It certainly does. Your familiarity with the rifle helps.
So shot 1 is a miss.
Ooh, okay.
So the second shot, and that is also a miss. And third and final shot is another miss.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the fright of seeing this thing's arm come to life and become some abomination in front of your eyes, James, just totally breaks your resolve, or at least the focus for that pistol.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think he's not on his game at all. Having seen that, took him completely by surprise. Yeah, if he had a good position, he for a shot, he's lost it, and his aim is off.
Yeah. And so the gentleman with the tentacle arm is going to make a strength roll, which he will succeed on. And in doing so, he will burst the lock with those tentacle appendages, and the other gentleman will slip inside. And as he does so, you hear the ring of a knife being unsheathed.
Okay, well, I'm assuming that the position that I've got myself to, I can pretty much see both sides of the door, both inside and outside. So as soon as he comes inside, I am going to shine my torch and adjust my aim down to the inside of the door. If I can scramble down a couple of feet in order to get within point blank range, that's even better. If I can't, that's fine.
Yeah. No, you can. You'll be able to, and you'll hold initiative technically here because you have a pistol out with the intent to use it. So, provided you're using that pistol, you'll add 50 to your dex and thus beat them both on initiative pretty easily.
And so I will take a deep breath and calm my nerves and take a single shot at this thing, whatever it is that's coming through the door, through the gateway.
Okay, easily with a bonus die.
And that, without the bonus die, that would have been a 96. But with the bonus die, that is a 26, which is a success.
Yeah, so you'll catch him, this sort of half man, half abomination, as he finishes stepping through the door with his compatriot beside him, knife-wielding compatriot.
Okay, and I will see how good a shot that was. That is 12 points of damage.
You catch him exactly as his head comes up, and you see these just a feverish state over half of his face. You see that his left eye is completely... It's alien to even human existence. There seem to be multiple irises inside of it, and there's some massive welt on the top of his head that sort of pulses. And that's really when you put the revolver fairly close to his face and you usher him off this earth.
Okay, and I'll immediately turn my revolver to face the other one. I mean, I do not want to be within kind of 3 or 4 feet of them. I still want to be kind of about 10 feet away, which would still be within my point blank range.
Certainly. You'll still have the...
I don't want to be in melee hand-to-hand combat with a gun in my hand. That's not my intention. If it comes to that, then it will come to that. But
well, Yeah, so one of the combatants has obviously left us and really everyone. And the other one, though, will get his action. And so he will be able to close distance.
Absolutely. He's going to have to scramble up towards me, though, because I'm still a little bit up the side of the cave.
So he'll make a climb roll. That's a 13. And so he'll be able to traverse up. And then his one goal in life at this point is to stab you. Because clearly, you're working for the enemy.
Clearly.
Oh, all right. That is...
I'm going to try and dodge it, by the way.
You should absolutely try.
I'm not going to fight back with the butt of a pistol against a guy with a knife. That is a normal success for a dodge.
Pretty good. You dodge out of the way. So he takes a wicked swipe at you, and you can hear the blade cut through the air. You're not certain he had his full footing, but yeah, he was definitely interested in taking a piece out of you.
Okay. Is it possible for me to scramble back a few feet so that I can get a shot off into this guy?
Certainly. There's nothing that prevents you from doing it.
That is what I shall do. Okay. And I believe I have 2 bullets left in my handgun. One of them is about to hopefully go straight into this guy. And unfortunately not. That is a miss.
All right.
Even with the bonus die.
You fire. It goes over his shoulder. And he's going to, now that you're both on sort of unsteady ground, he's going to try to make his way up. And he takes a few steps with that knife. And then he opens his coat.
Oh, dear.
To the right-hand side. And you can see that he isn't wearing a shirt on that side, and he can't because he is filled with all of these massive sort of bulbous sores that line his torso and his chest. And there's a very faint glow to them. And when he does, he opens that coat and then sort of flexes his pectoral muscles. And when that happens, they burst and sort of fire out all over at you.
Can I try and dodge out the way of these things?
Certainly you may.
Oh, that's not a dodge. It's a fail.
That is a hit for me. And it's so...
That would be a huge amount of luck I would need to spend to make that a success. So I think I'm just going to have to take it.
All right, sir. 5 points damage from acid as it bursts all over your body. As you can feel this not hot, cold liquid cover your body, most of your upper body. You get a little bit in the face just from his proximity. I'm going to have you make a Constitution roll when you get hit by it, though.
Okay. Constitution is my highest characteristic, so. And that is a 48. That is a success.
Ah, fantastic. You manage to roll a little bit with this. Don't get too much of it on you, but the acid obviously hurts. It bleeds directly through your clothes. It gets directly onto your skin. And when it touches your skin, the places that it touches feel numb for a moment.
Ouch. Well, I am going to try the same again. Scramble to whatever position I can, be it up or down. I'm guessing I'm probably going to have to go across or down from where we are now. Mm-hmm. And try and get the final shot from my revolver off into this guy before he does that again. That is, with the bonus die, an impale.
Impales are wonderful.
So that is going to do a total of 17 points of damage.
So it doesn't take you long to steady up the pistol, and given the fact that you're clearly on higher ground, it gives you an excellent vantage point to shoot down. And the revolver goes off, and his body flails and drops slowly down the rock face. As you're making that last trigger pull, several forms push in through the gate. You see, we'll say 5 humanoid figures dressed in these black robes that hustle past you down into the hallway.
Okay, I mean, I'm going to try and reload my revolver. Full reload is going to take me a round. There's a number of them. I'm not going to kill them all in one round, so I'm going to spend the next round reloading my revolver.
Okay.
Fully reloading it.
In the time it takes you to get the shells out, reload your revolver, and be set again, they've made the run into these halls, these caverns beneath. You can obviously hear them.
So they're just kind of ignoring me, just running past me down there.
Yeah, they don't pay you a single mind.
Alrighty then.
And that is when you have a shock of insight that you don't know where Lady Elizabeth is.
Well, the last I saw her, she was making her way down with the others, wasn't she?
Yep.
I'm going to quickly see if this door is kind of bent and twisted beyond being able to close it again properly, or if there's any way that I can sort of jam it closed. I'm assuming that the lock has been sort of bust open on it by whatever it was these creatures were doing.
The lock has been busted open. The center portion of both doors have been bent back. You could, if you got a couple of fairly heavy rocks, you could push them in front of them and slow someone from getting through them in an immediate sense. But it's going to take someone to repair these doors to make them complete again.
Yeah. How long is it going to take? If it's a moment's work to push, to like roll a couple of heavy rocks against the doors, I will do so. If not, then I will cut my losses and head down the corridor trying to find Lady Elizabeth. I'd also like to take a peek out of the out through the doors as well to see if I can see what's going on with these silhouettes, whether they've completely disappeared from my field of view now.
Yeah, they have completely disappeared from your field of view now. You think it would probably take more than a moment or two to lodge the doors shut, and so it might be just best to hurry after and find Lady Elizabeth.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep moving down the corridor, and I'm going to start calling out for her. Your ladyship! Your ladyship!
So we will move camera to our other investigators. So Professor, you and Miss Bellinger are hunkered down a little bit, as we like to say, with your trusty friend Simon, who has brought out a very imposing weapon of war. So you are in sort of this cavern area where there seems to be several different fights going on. You've seen that there's deeper ahead, or not deeper, but further down this path, back almost towards the opening, there's more in the way of battles going on between these two groups. You're not sure who they are. And there are a couple figures much closer who are coming towards you. So for your benefit, I have prepared something that might help a little bit in regards to positioning.
Oh my.
Just at the top, what I'd like to do, I would like to make sure I have everyone's dexterity at the ready, because I have a feeling that I'm going to need it.
We've not been seen yet, have we? Or at least I think that's what we believe.
It is what you believe, yes. So you were sort of down in this lower portion of the hallway here, and you were seeing these people begin to further come down the hallway. You can see that there are two distinct groups here, because obviously there's groups that are fighting beyond in the washed out tunnels. Professor, what's your dexterity?
50.
All right. Miss Bellinger.
85.
No, she's a quick one.
Oh, she's about to not be.
Simon?
80.
All right, 80, but you're currently plus 50 because you have the Thompson out and you are prepared to use it.
Correct.
Reminder, just so everybody's on the same page as far as how firearms work. If you are taking your plus 50 bonus to initiative, you are telling your keeper that you are using the weapon that round. You don't get it if you don't use the weapon. All about intent. Okay, Simon.
Per the map, which ones are the individuals wearing black? Because per our last session, I saw one of them use a spell as far as I could understand from my knowledge.
Yep. So the ones who are wearing black are marked in our map on blue, because it's a little silly to mark them with black in a dark map.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be fighting with this other group. And that other group seems anyway, in the light here, with the available light you have, some of these other men that they're fighting seem to be wearing very distinctive suits and fezzes, which of course has not made you calm at all.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know what to do if I want to shoot them both. But the spell I saw being used last time was a pretty nasty piece of work, correct?
It was, yes.
I'm going to go ahead and shoot the robed individual.
Okay.
Now, does this go off submachine gun skill or rifle shotgun skill?
This is technically submachine gun.
Okay, and what's the base for that?
It's a good question.
I've got 15 on my sheet.
Okay.
Seems about right.
So I get the 10% for rifle and shotgun.
Yes, that's technically true.
I exactly roll a 25.
Ooh, okay. So because we're having fun with all sorts of rules and differences and whatnot, what I'm going to have you do for that submachine gun, because it has a lethality of about 10%, is I'm going to have you roll that twice. I'm going to have you roll 10% twice.
First one's a 31. Second one's a 57. So I don't hit the 10%.
Right. Apologies, I'm just looking at Delta Green for a second.
Sure.
The Thompson's damage is 1d10 plus 2. So what I'm going to have you roll is a single d6 damage for every 3% of lethality, which would be 3d6. And so that's what I'll do, is I will have you roll 3d6, and I will say this: 3d6, but you're going to divide the damage between the two, and you're going to do it before you roll. So which one of them gets 2 and which one of them gets 1?
Well, I'm trying to focus all on the black rope. And I did say a controlled burst, so am I allowed to do that, or is it going to hit both of them because they're fighting?
Or firing into melee. So I will say that if you don't want to roll at least 1d6 damage on the one you don't want to hit, then it would have needed to have been a hard success.
Okay, yeah, and I wasn't going to be able to hit that.
Yeah, so the guy in the robe gets 2d6, the guy without the robe gets 1d6.
The guy in the robe takes 9. And the other one takes 4.
Okay, very good. So you stand up from your position, or at least in a sort of shooter stance. You ready and sit there in cover. You have to move just a little bit to be able to see him, but it does give you the option to cover the professor a little bit with your own body. And it isn't about the gun per se. It isn't about the feeling of having to go back to this sort of mentality for you, Simon. What it really is it's about clearing a path and getting out of this place, because it's clear that everything has turned completely upside down. Richard, for you and for Miss Bellinger, the sound of a Thompson in an enclosed tunnel is exceedingly painful. You're not even prepared for him to start firing. You hear the slide, you see him pull the weapon up, and that staccato burst from the Thompson comes out, and it's the loudest thing you've ever heard. You're suddenly ducking and covering your ears. The man in the robe drops. The man next to him gets stitched with a bullet. And far, far away down the tunnel, Mr. Fraser, you begin to hear an automatic weapon fire.
Oh no! And I will increase my speed and keep calling out for her ladyship.
So, Miss Bellinger, given what you've just seen and heard, what are you planning on doing?
Well, Maggie is a god occasionally, but also a human in this moment. And if I remember correctly, Maggie didn't really want to kill people voluntarily, but she was willing to negotiate and let Simon handle it. And I think that's exactly what Maggie's gonna do. She's gonna kind of like you said, that Simon is blocking the professor's body with his, and Maggie's going to hide her body behind the professor's.
Fair enough. I'm certain that she can tuck herself in behind here, behind her knight in shining corduroy, and find a way to stay a little bit beyond. It isn't unnoticed by you what Simon does. It's impossible to not hear that.
Yeah.
All right. A few things happen before the professor gets an action on 50. Just a few. You hear an awful lot of the movement in the tunnel. Simon, you see a lot of movement down there. Again, it's not very well lit. What you're getting is trace light from torches that have been dropped. Probably the most disconcerting thing that you see down here is also that some of these robed gentlemen, when they move closer, you can see the glint of this strange green phosphorus that colors their eyes. Their eyes seem to sit in the dark and glow. So that's their opportunity for the moment. You can tell that several of them have moved to cover, given the weapon they're hearing fire. And it's your action.
So, having led off his, well, not his, but Anton's pistol last time, he's going to see if he can find any bullets that he may have picked up at the same time.
I think the gun also had it had multiple magazines with it. I think it had 2. So you have a spare magazine that you
Perfect.
can exchange.
Yeah. So he's going to fiddle around and see if he can find some sort of catch that'll allow him to release the other magazine, and then he'll slide the other one in.
Yep. For you, Professor, it's a machine, and it's meant to do a very specific thing. And so you sort of fumble with it a little bit in some of the available light here. You find where the magazine releases at, and you sort of reach into the jacket pocket and pull the fresh one out.
I'm guessing that probably takes an action.
1 round to exchange a clip. So yeah, that'll do it. So yes, it takes you a round to swap the clip.
Sounds good.
That way you don't have to do any killing immediately.
Well, he's just waiting for another person with a fez to come.
Okay. So that'll leave it to Simon then at 1:30?
So are the Befez gentlemen moving towards us?
Some of them have, yeah, but they've also moved to cover. Yes. And you can tell that there are lurking, shadowy shapes behind them. And these are the same shapes that they were fighting with about moments ago.
All right. Professor, Miss Mackey, I'm thinking that we have enemies of all stripes here. Let's take them all out.
Right, okay, you lead the way.
Okay, I'm going to, using a stalactite as partial, or stalagmite as partial cover, I'm going to target one of the Turkish gentlemen.
Well, you're going to have a slight problem doing that because they have also done the same thing. They have gone to cover. They've put a bunch of stone pillars between you and them. So you can attempt to shoot them, but it'll be at a penalty die.
What about the one in the back with the robe?
Yeah, you could shoot it. The Thompson has more than enough range to shoot at him.
All right, I'll nail him, and I'm hoping the professor will keep his eyes peeled for the others. I will spend the 3 luck to make that a success again.
Okay, so roll a lethality roll for me under 10%.
That's a 20.
Okay,
And you said roll it twice or just once?
No, just once.
Okay. And is that 3 dice on him then?
It is. He's the only one there.
15.
He is dead. You fire the Thompson a few times, and after doing so, see the eyes wink out. And it's at that point Miss Bellinger would go, if she'd like to take an action. If not, perfectly fine, she doesn't.
Simon, do you have any extra guns I could grab off of you?
My pistol's in my right coat pocket, same one you used before.
I will obtain a gun
You
from him.
You obtain a pistol. You now have a pistol. If your father could see you now.
I know, because he knows that I'm a rifle lady,
Right.
not a handgun lady. So
with the opportunity at their ready, they're going to step out from these cover points, and they are going to shoot at you, Simon, because you have an enormous submachine gun. That is a 0-8 on the first one. And the second one misses. All right. So, let's see here. Oh, you got a very lucky there. That's 4 points damage from their pistol.
Yeah, I was wondering if I got a penalty dice, or they got a penalty dice because I was behind a stalagmite as well.
They absolutely did.
All right. Okay.
So that is theirs. This gentleman will come around the corner. This robed individual will come around the corner. What he will do is reach out with both of his hands towards his fallen compatriots, and he will begin chanting and incanting something. And the section of tunnel there begins to fill with purple energy as his arms come apart like spaghetti. And as they do so, they reach down and begin to usher these two forms, these two fallen comrades, up into the air. And you can see their bodies jerk and writhe. A great pulsing of energy begins to happen down at the end of that corridor. All of my investigators here in this tunnel are going to roll sanity for me.
Oh, that was a fail. Richard rolled 42 over 38.
All right.
That is a 14 under 55.
All right.
It's a fail for Maggie as well. 58 over 42.
Maggie and Richard can lose 2 points of sanity respectively. Simon, you are A-okay. In the sense that you're not suffering mentally from what you just saw, mostly because you're way too busy getting ready to line up the next series of volleys to go downfield. But whatever is happening down there, it ain't right. It ain't right at all.
It ain't right, but I also know that it can be killed. I think.
You think? Okay. So, Richard, having seen all that, you're being shot at least you think you are.
He would very much like to shoot the source of the purple energy, the chanting one.
Okay, fair enough. It's going to be a slight long shot.
Mm-hmm.
But what does the Hand of Fate have to say? I think the Hand of Fate is going to give you advantage on this.
That would be nice.
They've just done so.
I shall pluck an extra D10, and we've got 2 10s dies with a 60 on. That's disappointing.
That is disappointing. You have potentially any luck you'd want to spend. I don't know what your firearm skill is, Richard.
Base at 20, unfortunately. So that's and the other die was a 5. So that's quite a lot of.
Yeah, that's quite a lot.
45 doesn't. It would be nice, but probably not.
Okay, you fire it off. You miss. You can see the other fezzed enemies in the hallway here react at your gunshot, thinking it's for them.
Damn it!
We'll come around to Simon again.
I duck around the stalagmite again, yell, "Behind you!" at the two Bethesda gentlemen, and then shoot them.
Okay.
That is a 91.
Ooh. Well, it's definitely a failure.
And I do not have the luck.
No, I wouldn't think so. Okay, fair enough. We'll move right down to Miss Ballinger. You are armed. You are now armed and ready.
I am. So the one that's emanating purple
Really, on this show, we call it secreting.
is hiding it?
No, we call it secreting.
He's secreting away. Yes. That's the one I want to shoot.
Go for it.
Okay. I'll try to shoot. Okay, so I do get an extra 10%. I've just learned this today because I have 55 in rifles, right? So I get an extra 10 to my handguns.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter because I rolled an 80 over 29 or 39. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. And I'm certain that you're not interested in any sort of luck spend for that.
That would take more luck than I have, unfortunately.
All right. So, with that said, you are going to get the gentleman bathed in this purple light with all of his fingers and arms seeming to have become this rope-like appendages. He reaches out with these two forms, raises them up to the rocky ceiling, and then you listen and you hear him squish them. He almost juices them. And the bodies just burst with the leftover blood inside of them. And it coats down the limbs, these strand muscles that he has. And after doing so, he reaches those strands, those bloody strands out, and begins to give off that energy down the hallway. There's an enormous pulse that goes down the hallway. And I'm going to have everybody in that space make me a dexterity roll.
Well, that's something I can pass at least. 54 under 85.
58 under 80.
32 under 50.
Look at that. These two Fez gentlemen that are in front of him, they do not do so well. They are not able to get out from beyond it, and so they are coated in this fluid. And once the fluid coats their backs, they begin writhing in pain, and you watch their bodies light up with this purple glow. It seems they are suffering quite a bit. Simon, go ahead and make me a spot hidden roll. I'm probably the only one that's going to be able to see this.
That's a negatory, Ghost Rider. It'll be an 86 over 51.
Okay. All right. So just as this purple energy passes over you, you all recover just enough to get ready for the next portion of what you're going to try to do. And you watch as the man bathed in this bloody purple energy is stabbed in the back. And you see the blade come out his front, and he drops to a knee. That is going to be on you, Simon.
Okay. Now the two BFAS gentlemen in front of me are glowing purple and screaming, correct?
That's correct.
And they're not really trying to do anything else.
It does seem to be that way, yes. They're trying to get to their feet, it seems like.
But they're currently down on their hands and knees.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm shooting over them into the two individuals down the hallway in the purple glow. And I'm going to go on full blast.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're going to go on full blast. Go right ahead.
That's a 15.
Okay. I'm going to play an empowered hand of fate against you and treat that as a malfunction.
Okay.
You go on full blast with the Thompson, and you start hearing rounds leave it. You get that same sort of burst. And then you hear a very rapid metal on metal sound. And I need you to make me a luck roll.
That's a 21 over 13. I fail.
As the gun jams, the rounds detonate in the chamber, and the Thompson basically sets on fire like in your hands from the discarded rounds as a bunch of rounds go off where they're not supposed to. You take 12 damage.
Okay. Somebody didn't like me.
Or they really do like you, and thus want to see you suffer.
All right. With that taken, Miss Bellinger.
Yeah. So which gentleman, who would be the closest for me to shoot? Because shooting, Maggie's really feeling down on herself after some poor shooting, and she's going to try and take the easiest shot that she can.
Alrighty. That gentleman right here, closest to you, he's essentially down on one knee, and he's trying to recover after being hit with whatever purpley blood that came at him.
Yep.
But you're definitely going to have to stand up from your crouched position.
No, I can do that. I think I have that in me. Handgun. Nope, I sure don't. It's a 64 over 39.
Okay. So you fire off a round, and it hits off the stalactite, or it hits off the rock face next to him.
See, Maggie didn't want to fight in the first place. This shows in my shooting skills.
Okay. Richard, you've reloaded?
Just trying to work out. So Richard's obviously got some considerable experience in physics and understand how materials work. Are any of the stalactites suitably weak, such that if they were shot, they might fall down and fall on somebody's head?
I mean, I don't think that it's a pulp game if something isn't tried like that. So I'm going to say yes. Clearly, that there is one you could make use of.
Cool. Richard's going to aim for that stalactite then.
All right.
Oh, wow. That was 30. And because I think it will be a lot of fun, I'm going to spend those 10 points of luck.
Richard.
I know.
You fire, and when you do so, this gentleman here, just beyond the one that Miss Bellinger shot at, the second Befez gentleman, is going to... Now, how this would work is, normally during a firearms roll in Call of Cthulhu, there are no dodge rolls because no one gets to dodge bullets. But given what you're doing, I'm going to have him make a hard dex roll to see if he can get out from underneath before it crashes down on him. And he is unable to do so.
Good.
And so I'd like you to roll me 2d6, Professor. Say 2d6 plus 2.
Ooh, a total of 10.
All right, you crush him.
Take that, you fiend. Shoot at Maggie. That's totally unacceptable.
Yeah, you crush him, pulverize him completely. Feels really good. And so since we're at the end of the round, Mr. Fraser, you have made it to this area, this scene, and you can hear that there's definitely some fighting going on in this tunnel section nearby.
Okay, so I take it that my calls for her ladyship have gone unanswered, yeah?
Indeed, sir. You haven't even seen her.
Okay, well, I'm going to assume that she is with the others. Have I seen the was it 3 or 4 that were ahead of me? Have I seen them go down to this kind of the end of this tunnel that I seem to be running down and turn one way or the other?
Well, there were a couple of turns back there. So there was a left and a right that you had to make a choice on. You end up making the right-hand path choice.
Sound, yeah.
Right, and follow the sound. And you've gotten here. And what I would tell you is that in this space, as you're getting closer, you do notice that there's been an awful lot of foot traffic in here recently.
Okay, well, I'm going to move down the corridor quickly, quietly, and carefully until I come to the end of it, I guess, or until something happens.
If you'd give me some clarity then on stealth or no stealth.
Stealth.
All right. I'm just asking so I can move you the proper amount of spaces.
Of course, yeah. Stealthy but quickly. I will make a stealth roll. Oh, that's wonky. Oh, that is a failure. A stealth roll. 86 over 69.
You know, so you make it down to about this pool of water, small pool of water. Mm-hmm. And you can definitely hear that there's some scurrying. You think to, well, it's tough to say. The right, the left. There's only 2 choices, so you've gone right the rest of the time. Perhaps that'll do you through the same as we move deeper in.
Okay.
All right, then. And then for posterity's sake, Mr. Fraser's dexterity is
60.
That's what I thought it was, but always good to ask. And you are armed currently, yes?
I am armed. I have taken the time that I've been running down these corridors to fully reload my revolver.
All right. Your revolver is fully reloaded. Now, given what happened last round with the Thompson, we would not assume that Simon would be able to use it this round, because obviously he'll have to make some sort of recovery roll after a malfunction. So that being said, Miss Bellinger beats you by 5 on dexterity and is armed with a pistol. And so, Maggie, I would ask you first then, what are you planning on doing? The man you shot at before is still around. But the man behind him, Richard seemingly has crushed with a big rock.
I know, and that's a fantastic idea. So I'll follow suit. I'm impressed with Richard's quick thinking. That's a good idea, Richard. And I'll start shooting at those stalactites as well.
All right.
Will Maggie hit one is the question. Oh, I did. I rolled as a hard success.
Ooh, very good. So you're able to chip off a big chunk of rock, and I'll give him the same sort of dexterity roll, just because it would be fun. This one has a 0-2, so he does step out of the way. But he steps out of the way, into the hallway because it's the only place he can go. So now he has no cover.
Quick, Richard, shoot that man.
He would, but it's not his action. And so...
I know, it's just what Maggie says on her turn.
All right, Simon, what's the plan?
Simon's putting the fire out and cowering behind a stalagmite because he's down to 9 hit points.
That's fair. Technically, then, that will fall to Mr. Fraser, because he's now in the same combat turns as the rest of the party.
Alrighty. That being the case, I am going to move again stealthily down to the T-junction ahead of me and listen left and right to see which side the sound is coming from, if you'd like me to.
Please do.
That is a failure, 88 over 60.
All right. You don't hear anything. I mean, you hear some ambient noise, gunfire, obviously, but anything that you need to pick out specifically for the test.
I'm willing to push it.
Who are you?
I am indeed, yes. And,
in what way, sir?
Well, I think I will move out further into the corridor and risk being spotted. Yep, that'll do.
I do like risk.
A little bit further than I would normally, but I'm very worried about her ladyship, and I need to get to where the action is as quickly as possible. I will make another attempt at a listen roll. Well, that's a 0-4.
Well, in the dark ahead, there are a couple of gentlemen. You can tell because their facial expressions are turned your way. And the reason why you can tell is because their eyes phosphorescently glow in the dark, as do all of their veins.
Oh dear. I don't like that. I'm going to take a step towards the cave wall to hopefully afford myself a little bit of cover, carefully take aim, and shoot the one nearest to me.
All right.
Right through one of those evilly glowing eyes of his.
Go right ahead, sir.
Am I in point blank range where I am?
Yeah, I think so. Point blank's what?
It's your dex times dex divided by 5 in feet.
So yeah, so you're 60. That's what? Yeah, I'd say you're 12 feet.
I think it's dex divided by 5 in feet. I'll be embarrassed if I'm proved wrong.
Oh, wow. I'll hear about it.
Oh my goodness. 0-8.
Ooh. Well, that's an impale.
So that is going to be a mere 15 points.
Oh, yes. Well, you send that man directly to whatever hell he's been promised.
I guess the others will hear a shot ring out from just around the corner.
Yep. Well, amongst all the other shots going on. But yes, there's both you, well, really anybody down there would hear a gunfire that isn't in the direct area. It doesn't line up with any other physical movements that are happening. This gentleman, this other Fez gentleman, actually is going to keep going down the hallway. He's on a mission. So this one here, Miss Bellinger, this one you shot at earlier is going to shoot. Well, I'll give you a high or low die, Miss Bellinger. Which one would you prefer?
Low.
All right, that's high. He's shooting at you.
Okay. How dare he?
He misses with a 69.
Exactly.
Nice.
All right. So let's see here. This gentleman comes round. Another Fez gentleman enters the hall. This tunnel area, Richard, really piling them up now, and he's going to fire at you. And you hear him say, "Professor." You hear it in your ears, and this twit rolls a 99. And actually,
Excellent.
I think that is actually a malfunction, a proper malfunction too. Fantastic. We love a good malfunction. Yeah, so you see him come up in a standing shooting position. He looks you dead in the eye, and you can see his lips mouth, "I see you, Professor." And he clicks the gun, and you blink for a second, and then you hear the gun continue to click. And like he stares at it for a second and begins, jostling with the pistol to try to get it to work. And you breathe a sigh of relief. And if your trousers weren't messed before, they certainly are now.
Poor Richard.
Indeed. All right. So top of the round then will be Maggie.
Well, Richard hasn't had to...
Oh, you're right. Apologies, Richard. Go ahead.
So Richard says, Ham, did you forget to take the safety off or something? Draws aim and fires. Hopefully that's not a malfunction. That's 96.
What kind of gun is that?
I've no idea. It's Anton's.
Oh, Anton wouldn't leave you a bad gun.
No.
No. So...
And guns usually only malfunction on 99 or 100.
Yeah, 99.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Cool.
He goes off.
Now, Richard's happy that at least he managed to fire a bullet rather than jam it, so, hey.
I mean, you fired a bunch of bullets in the hallways behind you, right?
Yes. Oh, no, it wasn't bullets. That was a sword.
Right, you're trying to slay a bunch of dragons.
Yes.
All right, then. So, Maggie?
We're willing to accept your surrender. And then I'll shoot again.
Okay, go ahead.
Just it's to add emphasis to my statement. 44 over 39.
44 over 39, huh? That's what, 5 luck?
Yeah, it's worth it. I'm going to spend it.
Good spend. All right, roll damage.
Oh, what is the damage on this thing?
I'm going to assume that Mr. Griffith's gun is a 45, or what did you give her?
It is 1d10 plus 2.
I rolled a 3. Well, sorry, I rolled a 1 plus 2, which is 3.
Oh, but you were firing at this. Are you firing at the gentleman who has the blue douse, who's still trying to get to his feet, who's in immense pain?
I was firing at the one that I tried to crush with the stalactite, and then they ducked out of the way, and then they're still there. They won't die. They refuse to die.
Yep.
I believe it's this front gentleman.
Yep. He does die.
Oh, good.
Only had 1 hit point left. So you shoot him, and he falls down. And then when he falls down, you see that there's still yet another Fez gentleman behind him. It's like they won't stop. All right, then. So even though Simon is not in direct combat at this point, you have, if you are managing to get the Thompson back under control, that is something that you've been able to do. You are badly wounded.
But is the Thompson salvageable?
You think so. It'll likely have to be completely cleaned in the best circumstances. In the worst circumstances, you could try to re-rack the drum and lose any sort of ammunition that's sort of off balance. That's the big problem with the setup of the Thompson, is that if things get, it's rare, but if things get out of control, you sort of have to do a little field surgery on it to get it to work right again.
He's just going to be working. He's in pain, takes the knife out of his boot and lays it on the ground next to him for easy access in case he needs to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And just takes the drum out and is flushing all the ammo out of the gun.
Okay, fair enough. You'll spend a round doing that. I won't make you make a skill test for it because of your familiarity. You'll be able to clear the malfunction at that point.
It's fine. I'm sure Miss Maggie and the professor have everything covered.
It does seem that way, at least a little bit. Yeah, he doesn't have a gun out. So, Fraser.
Mr. Fraser is going to continue moving quickly and cautiously through the tunnel until he can get a bead on someone else. He's going to try and move up to within point-blank range of them and then shoot them. Would you like me to make a stealth roll?
I would like you to give me a stealth roll, yes.
That is a normal success, 57 under 69.
It is contested, of course, and you've beaten them. So you are at point-blank range here with the noise or everything going on. Your footsteps don't seem to have alerted them, and there is enough light in the space here where you could take a shot at them. You would be at advantage, obviously, for...
Okay.
And actually, if memory serves correctly, I think you'd be at surprise, because you're in stealth and they haven't noticed you.
Which means he doesn't get to try and jump for cover or anything like that.
He gets nothing. He gets to take a bullet in the back.
Okay. Well, it's not exactly a gentlemanly thing to do, to shoot a man in the back of the head, but Mr. Fraser is convinced that this is not a man. So the normal rules of engagement don't apply. And that is a 19, which is not an extreme success, but it is a success.
Roll damage, please.
A mere 3 points of damage.
You shoot him in the back. He definitely takes... Oh! You hear a grunt out of him, and you can see his...
And then I'll flatten myself against the wall.
And as it is his action, he is going to fire blindly behind him.
Okay.
Which you'll be at disadvantage for. Yep. And with a 93, you see the report and the flash from the revolver that he has, but it goes wildly somewhere else.
Good.
So, are my investigators down in that are hunkered down there, Miss Bellinger and the professor and Simon, see the man who got stabbed stand back up and lurch toward this Fez gentleman. And as he does so, you hear a low chant pick up behind him, and his seemingly dead form wrap itself round this Fezed man. And the horrors that begin to happen as each one of these long flayed muscles wrap appendages. You hear a vicious and inhuman crack of bones as it ripples out against the cave walls. It feels like this Fez gentleman is being pulled apart appendage by appendage by this creature. And I'll have you make SAN rolls for me, because that's just all sorts of horrific.
Now, do I need to? Because I said I'm fully focused on the gun.
Yeah, no, you're good. Your eyes down, trying to get the slide to react the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, since I'm so badly wounded, I just want full cover right now. I'm trusting in these two.
No, well, Simon.
You're an uncommonly kind keeper, Mr. Diamond.
Am I?
I got a hard pass on my...
That question I asked earlier, I need to ask it again. So what would a 97 mean?
I mean, if it's just a SAN roll, it's just a failure. It's not
just a normal failure, not a...
Well, it depends what your sanity is currently. If it's under 50, it's a fumble.
Oh, I suppose that's true.
It might be under 50.
Did you fumble your sanity roll?
I might have done.
But if he is in a bout of madness, it's irrelevant.
Nope.
Okay.
Not yet.
Not at the minute.
That's true, not at the minute. I remember very distinctly, not but a minute or two ago in this recording, someone clearly stated that I was a very kind and generous keeper. Allow me to disabuse you of that notion. So, Professor, I'm going to play an Empowered Hand of Fate against you. And I'm going to put you into a bout of madness. And when I do so, I'm also going to give you an immediate, permanent sanity mark.
Ooh.
Yes. First and foremost, lose 5 sanity.
Richard's sanity's getting as bad as Simon's luck.
Indeed. And so, because I absolutely love intertwining investigators together, Miss Bellinger, please roll me 1d100.
Oh boy, I can do that. Ooh, 56.
I'll take a little play on that word then. You become very obsessed, Richard, looking at this. Obsessed from a medical standpoint, from a curiosity standpoint. Your brain really never stops thinking. You become very curious and sort of, one might say, obsessed with flesh. The differences therein, how it bends and moves, how it could be used to contort into different things. When you see this, this creature both attack and dismantle this Fezed gentleman, all on its own, like a butcher chopping up a fresh turkey, you become obsessed with it and figuring out how you could do that. There must be a way. It's very useful. Oh, and since you're in a bout and around other investigators, the bout will last 7 rounds. The
good.
mania stays forever, though. It's like a gift.
I feel like this doesn't bode well for our morning.
Merry Christmas and happy birthday, Spike.
He's gonna start flaying me.
So that was Richard's... It wasn't Richard's action. That was... Last action was his action, so... I think it would be the professor's action. So yeah, you're in a bout, and you're obsessed with flesh. Take it away.
So, I think one of the standout things here is that Richard's seen this chap kind of come apart. That's probably a better word than that, but we'll go with that. And he's sort of come apart in a way where he's stripped down to sort of various fleshy tendrils, and it's almost kind of thready, really. Richard knows about threads. So I think now is an absolutely fantastic time for Richard to take a view of what's going on with a certain special pair of spectacles that he has.
You know, I would, Richard, but you're in a bout, and so you're not in control of the device at this point. You can't harness your willpower.
Okay.
I think it might be best if you just got a real close look at what was going on, don't you?
Well, I mean, that would be an alternative, wouldn't it? If he can't see with the benefit of his spectacles, then... So how could he take a look? So we did bring various items of equipment with us. I think it would be appropriate maybe for Richard to, I don't know, maybe take the pickaxe or something.
Sure. I mean, if nothing else, it would help if you got closer with the torch and were able to inspect things.
Well, he was sort of wondering what would happen if he tried to sort of prise the two apart, maybe see what was going on inside.
Sure.
You know, the one that's sort of enveloping the other. If he could sort of, I mean, what's actually happening there? Are there any sort of suckers on the inside, or is it how is the flesh trying to attach itself? So if he could sort of prise it apart and take a look, that would be very insightful.
You'll have to get a little closer, obviously, but I
indeed
fully encourage it.
Yes, that's what he'll do.
Miss Bellinger, you watch the professor sort of lose his shooting stance. The pistol he was carrying drops to the floor. He reaches back into your equipment bag and pulls out, you think, what is a pickaxe.
Oh, no.
And he begins to get a whole lot closer to this thing. And he's walking with a purpose. You've seen this look before, recently. Richard stands up from his cover position and sort of absent-mindedly drops the pistol. Reaches down into your inventory bag that Simon had been carrying and withdraws this pickaxe that he had brought with. And then he sort of very determinedly begins walking towards this creature that has just not thousands, we'll say 10 or so on each side of its body, these long, spindly, skinless muscles that extend out, these ropey muscles.
Yeah, that seems like bad news. Richard, don't get any closer. Richard, you don't have a sword. And I want to run and tackle Richard.
Ooh, fantastic. I like the idea of you tackling him. So yeah, I suppose that's fighting brawl. And you're keenly aware of the people around you, Richard. You're keenly aware of really all the flesh that's around you. And so you won't be surprised by this at all. So if you'd like to dodge or fight back, you're welcome to.
Because there's about to be some more flesh near you. 22 under 14.
Richard will try and sort of lunge forward rather than dodge, so effectively try and speed up a bit.
Go for it.
Oh my god. Ooh. What is wrong with these things this evening? That's a 0-0.
Oh my. That's a fumble. Actually, it's a fumble. Critical failure.
Yeah.
So,
Whoops.
Miss Bellinger, you tackle Richard to the ground. And you're not completely upset by this, Richard. It's unfortunate that you're not close to where you need to be, and that's really what you're interested in, but Maggie's got all sorts of flesh, and she's much closer. You sort of begin to wonder how she works inside. And I'll leave the two of you there. Mr. Fraser, you're still exchanging gunfire around the corner with this strangely illuminated man. And you've dove back for cover to shield yourself from any potential rounds that come your way. Now it's time to act.
I'm going to lean out and take another shot at this guy. And hopefully my bullet will be slightly better placed than the last one. And that is a 16 with the bonus die, which I believe is a hard success, not quite an impale.
Damage, please, sir.
That's a bit better. That's 11 points of damage.
And it drops like a rock.
Can I move up as well?
Certainly, sir.
I would like to move up to the corner that he appeared to be going around and very carefully get a peek around. I'm happy to make a stealth roll if you'd like me to do that.
I won't require the stealth roll at this point because there's nothing that's going to be able to sort of view you in that space. If anything does, we'll do a stealth versus spot hidden because the presumption is you're moving very carefully around that.
Okay.
What you're beginning to see, though, is that there's quite a lot of bodies here. And some of them have been through some pretty disturbing ends. People have been ripped apart here. There's blood all over the place. There's probably in this general vicinity 2 or 3 bodies at this point at the top of the corner. And you can see something purpley, glowy from around the corner. You don't have a full sight of it, but you can see the illumination plays off the cavern walls here.
I think the first thing that he wants to assure himself of is that none of the bodies belong to Lady Elizabeth Fitzroy. Or indeed any of his companions. Are they all these robed figures?
Some of them are robed, yes, and others are dressed in dark suits. You see a few red fezzes splayed out across the ground, too.
What is going on here? And I guess that would be me. I will prepare to continue to move through, but take a moment to take in the scene.
You take a moment. That's your action. So technically speaking, it's Miss Bellinger, then Simon, as Simon will be able to get to act normally. The din of combat has dimmed from this area now. You haven't heard as many gunfire shots ring off the stones here. The only thing that seems to be left in the corner nearby is this figure that's slowly moving towards Richard and Maggie. And you can see its appendages, these multiple thin appendages are clawing along the rock wall, trying to get closer to them. And Miss Bellinger, since you hold the highest dexterity, it'll be your action.
Yeah, I'm wanting to try to... So I've tackled Richard. We're both on the ground.
Indeed.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to get up and try to drag him away, because I'm assuming he's probably fighting back. I would mostly be trying to pin him down to get him from getting any closer, while also calling for help.
All right, that seems reasonable. So let's see here. I suppose then it's basically a grapple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's what, opposed fighting brawl. Happy to take any sort of correction if folks have a better handle on that. I think it's opposed fighting brawl because you're declaring your intent is to grapple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, 64 over 40.
Oh, don't worry. The way these things have been rolling, that's probably an improvement on Richard's. Ooh, 18.
Right on time, Professor. You manage to get out from under what she's trying to do. And since she can't sustain the grapple, you can fight her off. So you don't get grappled. You don't gain any immediate position on her, but you are able to act normally the next round.
Cool.
But before that happens, we will turn to Simon, who has fixed the Thompson temporarily, and while bloody is not beaten.
Well, Simon's not a fan of trying to reshoot the Thompson again while he is in the dark and it's not fully cleaned, and he managed to effectively burn half his hit points off with a Thompson fire. However, he's aware that the professor has moved forward and dropped his pistol. This is correct, right? Because he went for a pickaxe.
Absolutely.
I will pick up his pistol and shoot over them since they both are sprawled on the ground, correct?
They are.
All right. And I can clearly see this glowing target.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's no visibility difficulty there for you because it creates that shadowy purple aura around it.
That is a 79. I cannot push the roll and I cannot spend the luck. So the bullet just wings off a stalactite.
Yep, but you fire, and you have that pistol that Richard has can fire more than once in this round. But I think you have to take disadvantage on the first roll, if memory serves correctly.
I'm fine. I'm just going to do one bullet at a time. It's a pistol I'm unfamiliar with, though. I'm liking this clip, and Richard may not get it back.
Yeah, the clip is a wonder, right? Very well. That's Simon, so Fraser, and then Richard, so Fraser first.
Okay, so I am going to continue stealthily moving around to see what's going on up here. And as soon as I have a target, if a target exists, I presume there is a target because there were some bullets flying about. Do you require a sanity roll for seeing this?
Oh, absolutely.
Thing?
This thing is disgusting. Yeah, just so like imagine the regular man-sized body where the arms have come apart a little bit into just 5 or 10 different fleshy strands, and they're stretched out over the cave hallway here, and they're creeping closer, clawing along the cave walls to try to get the body closer.
Do I have the option to not imagine that?
No, sir.
Righto, then. Here we go. And that is a 73 over my current sanity of 40.
And seeing this will cost you 2 points of sanity.
Oh my goodness. That is lucky. I am getting ever closer. Ever closer.
But you can now make the shot.
Okay, I shall do so. And looks as though I'm close enough for point blank. So. That is either a 70 or a 70. So that is a miss.
All right, you fire at it. It will turn just slightly. So this is the creepiest part for you, is that it turns the interior portion of its body, and these flesh strands continue to walk closer down to your compatriots.
So I was checking the point blank rules there, and one of the things about point blank is you are close enough that your opponent can have like a melee attack on you.
Well, I've got enough.
If it so desires.
I've got enough strands to go around. That will not do it. The 75. So it does swipe at you, but does so failingly. And in that case, then, Richard, it's your action.
So Richard is going to try and escape Maggie and have a good poke at this thing. I mean, it's coming towards him. It would be rude not to take this opportunity after all.
Yeah, I totally agree. She doesn't have you in a grapple, so you can absolutely move closer.
Yes.
All right.
So can he try and prise it apart with his pickaxe?
Oh, I don't see why you couldn't.
No, indeed.
Yeah, go right ahead.
What would I roll for that? I don't have a pickaxe.
I suppose I would just give you a fighting brawl roll.
That's a fail. That's a 47 over 34.
You swing at this thing, and it thuds into its body. The pickaxe spins a little bit, and the blunt side of it hits the body. The head, with a series of bone crackling noises, the head turns back towards you, and it stares at you.
Would you mind lying down? If you could spread your, I don't know, whatever appendages apart, I'd be most grateful if you wouldn't mind a brief examination.
So, this is probably heard by both Maggie and Mr. Fraser. This is insanity. You have no idea what Richard is on about here. Maggie,
it's for science.
He might be right. So since Simon has a pistol, he'll go before Maggie.
Okay, but they're currently in melee right now, correct?
That is correct.
Is there a rule that allows me to aim for a round before I shoot to avoid this?
So in the intention to take careful aim must be declared on the character's turn.
Mm-hmm.
The shot is taken in the same turn in order of combat on the following round. So if you aim this turn, you will get an advantage next turn.
I will do that.
Okay, very good. Miss Bellinger.
Yes, I would like to grab Richard's feet out from under him and pull him away from this thing.
All right. Fighting brawl.
There is the risk of trouser leg damage if this happens.
Your trousers are already shot. We were over that last game. They're soaked through and not in a great way. So I would say that there is some danger.
But I failed. His pants are so slippery when they're wet.
Yes, true to form, Miss Bellinger, you grab onto Richard's pants, and the pants are what come with you, not Richard's legs.
Hate it when that happens.
Me too. This being will pull back from the cave walls. It doesn't need to move because the people it would like to reach out and touch are right here now. It does retract its arms, and it looks like it's preparing to do something to you and likely everybody else that in its immediate range.
I am going to fire 3 shots at it.
All right.
Now, I'm in point-blank range, which gives me a bonus die. I'm firing into melee, which would normally give me a penalty die. However, I have got the BDI talent, which means I do not take that penalty die for firing into melee. So I will get 3 shots, and they are the only 3 shots in my revolver, at my normal firing rate into this creature.
Alrighty.
So the first shot is a miss. The second shot is a miss. And the third shot is a 0.5 impale. So that will do 22 points of damage.
Yeah, Richard, you get an upfront view of this creature's head being made into a canoe as brain matter and guts fly everywhere, revealing there, beyond the hole, beyond this cave that's been made inside this creature's skull, the triumphant shooting stance of one James Robert Fraser, and his pistol illuminated there in the leftover purple glow, and the gun smoke around him. And I think that is a perfect time to end. And so thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Horror on the Orient Express. I am certain that the cleanup from this will be just as epic as the story. Thank you, and good night.